But suddenly it took on a different emotional importance to me. Instead of just
Yeah.
sending them to stay top of mind, I sent them. And in the process, I realized how many people have helped me along this journey. So it went from something that was a marketing endeavor to actually a very rewarding, gratifying experience. And now that that's done, well, they're going to get another card next year. If this is something you like doing, then amplify it. If you don't, it's okay. So when you get a discount agent, and I'll just use that term generically, you're getting someone who's going to discount how they do their job too.
Today's episode is brought to you by Andy Bovender, the founder of the Bovender team out of the Carolinas. Him and his team cover 5 different counties. So if you have that client who's been thinking about making a move to or from the Carolinas, the Andy Bovender team are the ones to call. Today, I sit down with Michael Abrams and we talk about his fast start in the business. I mean, he's only been in it for 2 years, but his acceleration rate is ridiculous. He has a marketing background, but his epiphany is what changed the game. So stay tuned for that. If you'd like to hang out with top performing agents, share best practices, learn from them, and potentially share a referral or two, scroll down and click the link to join the wait list for the Inner Circle group. And as always, I'm your referral partner out of San Francisco, Sean Conkler. Michael, what's up, man? Thanks for doing this.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Dude, you're an interesting guy. 2 years in the business, but you already you're moving and shaking and making it happen.
I am, but it definitely took a moment. I would say that first. So I'll go back a little bit with my background so that there's a little bit of understanding. So I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. So I've ran a
Mm,
business. I've been an architect. I've been a designer, ran a marketing firm. So I have a lot of these ingredients. I've also haven't
mm,
bought and invest in real estate. I've overseen projects. So real estate isn't entirely new to me, but being a realtor is new to me.
yeah.
There's nothing like it. When I was in the marketing world, you would send a proposal and they would give you feedback, and that was really it. This is a very much, I would say, almost the job is all consuming if you want to be successful at it, which just doesn't mean you have to work all the time, but it is something that I think is in your DNA. So yeah, I've been doing
Yeah.
it for about 18 months, but when I did start, I reached out to a lot of people and I ended up partnering with an agent that helped me buy a property. So I would say I have a unique advantage of having essentially a partner in this
Yeah.
endeavor who has a lot more experience than I do. Anya Depube is her name. Our business, team name is Amre. So I think that gives me a leg up. So that's the only thing I advise people when they're starting one: work really hard and join a team. That would be it. And beyond that, you kind of figure it out.
Yeah. I think you make a really great point that I think very often gets people glaze over is you're not brand new to real estate. Let me rephrase. You're brand new to real estate, but you're not brand new to life. And you bring with you all of these other skills and experiences. You just got to lean on them. Like you have to
For
figure
sure.
out how they now fit this life. And it sounds like you really did. Like you did that self-reflection and it's working in your favor.
I really love real estate. And I've had this sort of little moment of epiphany recently. I was listening to some podcast or some speaker, and I realized that I'm an entrepreneur first and a realtor second. And that
Yeah.
kind of broke me free from this looking at everything I do as a distraction. So, for instance, organizing events or working with people on other projects, they all kind of work together.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has an advantage. One of my favorite marketing gurus is Alex Hermosi, and he'll tell you that everybody has something that they can use to their advantage. So if you're young, I'll tell someone who's new to the business, then find other young people that are successful. You'd be shocked. There's people in their 20s and 30s that can buy homes, whether it's through influencers, professional degrees,
Yeah.
Bitcoin, and they're probably going to want to work with someone similar to them than necessarily me. So there's always a way in this business to be successful. That was actually something I was surprised by. I think
Yeah.
everyone thinks that selling sunset is how you define an agent, and quite frankly, that's not the case. There are agents that every age, ethnicity, you name it.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day is, water seeks its own level and well, so does mud. But I mean, I think I think there's just, I mean, you're in marketing. You can't be everything to everybody. Like,
No.
if you really want to have a good product, you have to niche down. And if you look at those companies like Liquid Death, they niche down so hard that they they sell water and they
It's hard to believe.
freaking exploded onto the scene and crushed it, but they niched down so hard they turned off major groups and turned on just one hyper specific area, and then it popped.
Yeah.
Um, but I like what you said, that you're an entrepreneur first and real estate agent. I think to really succeed in this business, and I use the word succeed not by, I use it by the general industry term, not the individual person's term.
Mhm.
Um, and we can definitely talk about that. And I know you know what I mean, because we were talking about
Sure.
weightlifting right before. But in the general industry term, I think we're entrepreneurs first. We're marketers who sell real estate.
Yeah.
And I think when we start thinking about it like that, then it becomes, how do I just get in front of more people, have more conversations, and get these wheels turning? Because if you hide behind your computer or you're a secret agent, no one's going to work with you. No one's going to know you're there. Like, it's not going to happen.
100%. One of my goals for this year was to not be in front of the computer as much. And so my business partner, I would say, if she never opened an email again, she'd be happy. To me, it's a sense of that checklist and cleaning out my inbox gives me a sense of
Yeah.
satisfaction, but that doesn't move the needle. So one has to look at themselves critically. For me, it's people, product, place. You need to know as many people as possible that obviously, and people that I want to interact with. I don't ever put money ahead of getting along, someone I don't want to work with. And then secondly, you really got to know the product. I feel like some people don't know a lot about real estate and then others know so much. I am blown away. I say, we have something in Mar Vista and they're like, what neighborhood? And then they're like, what street? And then what school district? So they're beyond what I know. And then lastly,
Yeah.
I celebrate Los Angeles. That was part of the reason I got into this having a newsletter and sort of creating events is that after the fire, I felt like there was this real negativity. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, of course it happened
Totally.
in there. No, a disaster can happen anywhere. I don't think anybody blamed Florida for their hurricanes or what goes on there or all over the world. But I just felt very much this sort of sense of negativity. And LA isn't
Yeah.
perfect, but still a great city. I think could be and should be one of the best cities in the world if it's not already.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. San Francisco, same. We this
Mm.
weird negative stigma and all the politics. It's super fun. But
I
I
knew I
go
knew
ahead.
SF was gonna bounce back. I mean, FS is inherently incredible. I
Yeah.
had no doubt if I could have been in the position to buy up all the unused office buildings, SF has created more incredible businesses and innovation than really any city in the entire world. I'm sorry, that's a fact, and that's not changing.
I, I mean, I think the bottom line is, when you look at n- cities
Mhm.
in the US and you look at brand names, we're all going to go through cycles, but the brand names are not going to lose their shine. And I
Yes.
like, if you're a kid growing up, I grew up in Connecticut. Like, I grew up clearly on the other coast, and I remember listening to Led Zeppelin sing about California, and just like, and then watching I'm old, I'm 50, so watching like 90210 and watching like
Uh, I've seen them all.
just being into that, and like, there's something about California. I have to go and experience this thing, and then, yeah, I mean,
I'm from
that's how it evolved. But it's a
I'm
brand
from
name. If there's something
100%.
about it. And to your point, I mean, LA, San Francisco, New York, they, when you have an industry, you attract all these people to this place. San Francisco had Atari here, and Atari broke off and became these other companies. Then people broke off and created those.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's so much, there's so many layers of wealth here
Yeah.
that it would take, it would be impossible to get rid of it all. It's wild. And the amount of IPOs we have. So my point is, I think the real estate on a long enough timeline in these brand name places, you're fine.
Uh, there's a term I heard which I think is well known, but flight to quality. But I just kind of came across it recently at a meeting I went to or an event, and then it kind of got me thinking because I invest in multifamily,
Mm,
and I realized I wanted to sort of put together my own thesis around it. This is just it's not huge, but I'm steadily doing it.
yeah.
And I was recently an escrow on a property. Unfortunately, it fell through, but I learned more in 2 weeks than I had learned in more than in 2 years of sort of looking and thinking about investing. Although I like a bigger unit go into the commercial size.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at is that flight to quality to me is global too. The US is still quality. These cities are the example of it. And we need to do everything we can to promote it. The big thing I also believe is like what makes LA unique is that it's entrepreneurial. And I think we need to decouple it just being about entertainment. But obviously entertainment's having, which is strange. We have more content than ever, and yet less and less is made here. But fostering and encouraging people to come here and making it easy as possible, start a business and connect with people.
Yeah.
But I see it. I see people come to this city from all over the world. They're still moving here primarily because it's a place that not only is innovative, it encourages innovation and it celebrates it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, it goes back to my point about water seeks its own level. When you, like you and I, we're riffing about entrepreneurship, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, like I'm going to text you and be like, hey, what's the name of that course? That sounds amazing. I have to go to that. But you've had a really quick, amazing trajectory. Obviously, you're sitting on the podcast, so good on you for making that happen. Um, but what are you doing in your day to day? You 2 years in to really accelerate your business now.
I would say I've hit the first gear. That's where I feel like I'm at. And
That's
so
fair.
there's plenty of more, plenty like Beverly Hills Compass office is it might be the number one office in the world just in the total. I mean, I think we did nearly 5 billion in sales volume last year.
Not
So they
shabby.
really crank it. So I get to be around some really, really amazing agents who are
Yeah.
also there isn't a single one that I feel like I can't call and just get on the phone. So the team environment's great. And I think any good brokerage behaves that way. It's not unique to Compass. They're all similar.
Yeah.
So more about me. I just treat it like a job every day. And I think that's something that perhaps is different than other people. Like I'll come in on a holiday and just because I have to get something done. So I treat it like a job. There is no days off necessarily. And that was something I need to be mindful of last year when I had a little bit of break over the holidays. Like, okay, I do need a moment to pause. But ultimately it's just not measuring the effectiveness of any endeavor too soon. So for instance, I mentioned my event platform called Haps Club. We went from one event a month from 20 people, the first one, to about 120 people at the last one. Now we're moving into more elevated events and ticketed events. And while I'm doing it is really because I like getting people together. I love amazing locations. I love to celebrate them. And it's just become a hobby, but it also keeps me top of mind. So those things simultaneously, that's why I tell everyone, just whatever you do, do more of it. Don't get a box at a stadium if you don't love football. Like you have to do something you love and you're passionate about. I love the saying, "What would you do if the only reward was you can do more of it?" And if you really think about it, that's kind of why you start something. So,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I answered the question directly. I'm just hustling, trying to meet as many people as I can. Fortunes in the follow up, always staying on top of people, and that's a big thing. I don't, but also being mindful. If someone says not interested, I'm like, great, I'll get back to you in 6 months, but they will hear from me in 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a difference, and I love that you just said that. There's a massive difference between no
Yeah,
and not right now.
sure.
Huge difference. Like
Yeah.
not right now could be, well, in 10 minutes or 10 years, and a no is it's a different, and then you can clarify that to mean like no as in we're never ever going to work together. But the math is, and if you're especially if you're talking to a seller, my rule, and I say this to myself all the time, on a long enough timeline, every property will sell.
Good point.
And I just need to be there for it. Like I just need to your point, have a relationship with these people. So when that time comes, because it's going to, they decide to call me. And it's not a matter of if they call me, it's just now a matter of when they decide to call me. And
For
so
sure.
it's the, and I did jujitsu for a little while, and my buddy who was the instructor always said position before submission. It's like,
Interesting. Yeah.
otherwise you're going to get countered because you don't have a good
Don't have it.
position. And so, but if you have a superior position, then you can hold your position
Yeah,
and then make the choice to make the next move.
for sure.
Are-
I'm really proud of what we've accomplished. I remember my first listing, it was when I look back at it, I was organizing a dinner party since COVID. And through that, I met a lot of people. We probably had hundreds of people in and out between multiple houses. And then I realized the first listing was a friend who I met during that, who had a sister who owned a property in Bel Air. I wasn't aware of the sister or the property. And we met, and I
there
was
you go.
all nervous, and I had my presentation deck and my of course my sport coat on, and she was just digging in the dirt, working on the garden. There was no presentation needed. I gave her a cup of coffee that was to her liking, as her sister had told me, and she met with a few people and called us, says, "You seem great. Let's do it." So it was really empowering, but I realized it was because I had done something already I enjoy doing, bringing people together.
Yeah.
And obviously, I guess the joke my good friend always likes to make the joke. He's like, "Wait, you're in real estate?" Because he hears me talk about it so much. I'm a little better than I was,
Yeah.
but I do read the room. If someone's like, "I'm not interested," or "I think real estate's dumb," or "I don't wanna buy it," I'm like, "Okay." But if anyone asks me, I'll say, "Listen, I'll give you my 90-second overview, and then let's connect another time."
I'd be willing to bet the hardest part of your day isn't the work. It's the mental load. It's the decision fatigue. It's the shuffling of priorities while you're already playing catch up. You're checking off things from your to do list just as fast as they're getting added. And I'd also be willing to bet some of those meaningful business relationships you've had in the past have begun to fade. Ace Your Day is a physical deck of 52 strategic cards designed to halt fatigue. Refined by real world results, this system replaces chaos of a to do list with a curated set of high impact actions. It's simple: set a timer for 15 minutes, draw a card, and make your move. The deck handles the thinking, you drive the business. Building a secure business should not be a guessing game. Let's stop overthinking the day and trust a system that prioritizes connections and relationships. Let the deck handle the strategy, you focus on the results. Click the link in the description to reclaim your day 15 minutes at a time. Dude, you said something very subtle, and I hope people caught it. And if they didn't, I'm going to put a spotlight on it.
Okay.
But you said this woman interviewed multiple people,
Mhm.
right? So now there's clear competition,
Sure.
and you put on a suit, you dress the part, like you were ready. That's like, I think that's an important. It's important, and it's important to the story. But I think that the detail is you brought her a coffee the way she likes it. That's, pardon my French, fucking huge, dude.
Mhm.
Because you took the time to learn something incredibly important about this individual.
Mhm.
That's a subtle overlooked detail, which now subtly and subconsciously gives her
Mhm.
a shitload of confidence in the bigger things, because you're now paying attention to the little things. And not for nothing, they actually did a study, which is fascinating. Is they took 20 random people and they walked up to them and
I'm
said, "Would you
nervous.
mind holding this cup?" One cup had ice, the other cup had hot water in it. And then it was two different groups, 40 people in total. Half had one, half had the other. They then went back up to the people later, I think the next day, and said, "What did you think of the person?" Every person who received the warm cup said they liked them. Everybody who received the cold cup said they didn't like them. And you, it sounds like you knew this case study because you're nodding and agreeing with me, but you also did that piece in addition to. So like that one tiny
Sure.
little thing that you could have easily just been like, screw it, I'm not doing it. I would probably be willing to bet set the stage for these other pieces to then happen.
I would say I inherently love giving gifts, and I inherently love to, like, surprise people, and in my previous profession, it didn't matter. It was
Mm.
very corporate. I would say the number of thank yous I got was far fewer. One of this is another amazing thing, which I guess is kind of like bragging, but one of our first buyers, it took us to after it all got done, we had probably taken in the 60 listings, and we got them into an amazing place. It took us out to a lovely dinner down here at a place called Voltaire, and I wasn't shy. I feel we earned it. I got a bone-in ribeye. I was enjoying myself. They stopped near around the dessert time and they said, "Listen, we are so happy with what you've done. And we know you went above and beyond." And they actually gave us an additional commission check just on top. And it really set the precedent for me that I'm not doing it for money, but the fact that someone whom really, really, um, even the gentleman's wife said they've never gone in and put in an all at ask offer, but we were articulate enough and explained that this is a good price. And it
Yeah.
just left an impression that people do appreciate it. And this is a personal business. Very few people, even those that do this for a living and they can be unemotional, I'm sure that they still have this is the first building I ever bought, or whatever it may be.
100%.
They're not going to ever be indifferent. If you People will blow up a deal if they feel slighted. You
Yeah.
really, really need to be mindful. And also, if someone entrusts me with a family or a friend to work on this important project for them that help them, then I am grateful, and I want to do
Yeah.
everything we can to do a good job. So if you don't care about people, don't get into this business. And if you don't, I believe that owning a home is a great way to build wealth, but more importantly, it's a great way to live your life if you
Yeah.
have a place that's you can call yours.
Yeah, man. I mean, emotion creates motion. And you look at investment properties, there is an emotional component.
Oh,
There
for
is.
sure.
Like it's to your point, this is my first one. This is my trophy. This is the most I spent. This one has the highest ROI. Because when you talk about it, if you're talking with a peer who's also an investor, there's a sense of pride in
Absolutely.
finding the gem. And so there isn't there like I know it's about the numbers at the end of the day, but there is 100%. It may not have the same emotional weight as somebody
Mhm.
buying, let's say, a Rolex. It's a different buying decision. Nice watch, by the way.
Thank you.
And so there's like a different emotional weight to it, but there is a weight component. And so how you and to your point, it's like how you then show up for that person and can you articulate it? And that's the game changer. And separately, partly this is a rant because of my caffeine, but everybody's talking about this huge uptick in AI. It's happening.
Mhm.
We're not
Yeah,
getting
sure.
away from this wave. It's happening. But, and here's the big but. If agents uptick equal and proportionate, what you're doing, events and micro events, which I can share with you if you don't know what those are.
Mhm.
If people do those, that's going to make their business bulletproof
Sure.
because it's relationships.
100%. I use AI every single day.
Same.
It and it makes me capable of doing things better and faster. I would not be writing a newsletter without AI and Grammarly. It would
Mhm.
be too arduous and it would be look like someone in 8th grade was writing it. That being said, I make sure that I write the whole framework, so at least it's my tone and my voice, and then I amplify it. The way I look at it is this: there are a lot of jobs that will potentially be destroyed with AI. However,
Sure.
the job we're in is I would say a non-essential job, but it's essential because people, like for instance, you can do your own accounting, you can change your own oil, you can
Mhm.
do a lot of things. But
You
when
can
you're
cut your own
about to,
hair.
you can cut, you could. I did during COVID, not a good move.
I think
Is
we all
that
screwed that one up.
is that you're going to be able to? We're helping you get through a very difficult time with years, if not thousands and thousands of hours expertise. And ultimately, it's just a concierge. We're providing a service, and the more expensive the home, potentially 2 things. 1, you always want to maximize the value, but for those who make a lot of money, their time is incredibly valuable. They understand the exchange of services.
Yeah.
And my impression, all someone wants is confidence and a phone call that says everything's under control.
Mhm.
They don't want to know how we make everything. They don't care about the inputs or prompts. And when we meet with people, we have a lot of our clients that we don't do Zoom meetings. We go to their house, they're a little bit older, and we sit down and have a cup of coffee, and a meeting that could take 20 minutes takes 2 hours. And guess what? That's how we build relationships. And I can guarantee you, not only have I developed a relationship and learned a lot about this individual and realized like when someone's selling a home that they've lived in 40 years, if you're not sensitive to that, then
Yeah.
I, good luck being a good agent. I'm amazed that there are bad agents out there, but I have my theories on that. You
Yeah.
have to treat everybody with respect, and not everybody wants to use the computer to get everything done. Actually, I think a lot of people don't. So we miss the interaction. If anything, we have to amplify the one-on-one connection. Sending a generic email. I've gotten one deal from email. I joke for 100,000 emails I send, I get one. I mean, at least there's a ratio.
Yeah, that's the actual closing ratio. It should actually be 2%, but I mean, it's pretty accurate.
But I'd much rather be, and also I think I'm gonna do what I wanna do. I don't mind using email and all those tools. I think they're powerful. We have a
Yeah.
private exclusive coming up, and that's a tool to connect directly with agents in our network. But for me, I'm just gonna do more of what I already do, and
Yeah.
that's what I remind people. If you love pickleball, then be the pickleball king. Honestly, sponsor your group, make it funny,
100%.
whatever you do, double down.
Yeah, yes, yes to all of that. Um, it, and I think, it's this is kind of funny, but let's say you're taking a 12-hour flight uh, to to anywhere in the world,
Japan.
to Japan. The person sitting in the dead last seat of the plane and the person sitting in the first class is going to get to the same place at the same time.
Sure,
But the only differentiator is the experience.
sure.
And so, yeah, you can 100%. I mean, here's actually a great example to stack onto this. Who is it? Is it Southwest who doesn't assign seats?
I think they're starting, but
Correct.
yes,
They're
yes.
tanking that concept. Why? It sucks. It's a shitty experience. People
Simple.
people want to have a better experience. And
I
here's the
know.
other stupid thing is I don't understand why they don't board the plane from the last seat to the front and actually do it in the correct order.
I
But
never got it.
that's a different rant.
I know.
Um, but I think at the end of the day, this industry is going to be hinged on experience and in the events, just interacting with humans. And I think they don't need to be complex. Like when somebody says the word event, you kind of like
Mm.
cringe and you're like, I gotta invite 1,000 people. That's insane. Sky Michaels shared with me, which I think is brilliant. And I'll stack on that. So I have a deck of cards coming out called Ace Your Day. And his card is the King of Hearts because he has with heart coaching. But his concept is micro events.
Mm. I like
Hey,
that.
Michael, I'm walking my dog. I know you got a dog. What are you doing tomorrow afternoon? You want to go do a quick walk with the dogs? That's a micro event. You and I get to talk. Maybe we could talk about property. We could talk about marketing. We can just like let it rip for 15, 20 minutes. That's it. That's a micro event.
Yep.
Super easy. The other thing is, I've listened. I know you have a dog. I know I have a dog, and it's like, we connect. I don't know if you actually have a dog. I made that up,
Sure.
but we actually connect. I'm sure you heard mine barking a second
Yeah, yeah,
ago.
it's all good.
But it's those little experiences that people actually get to know you, and they're like, oh yeah, they actually do care. They do have my best interest. They do understand. They do empathize that my parents have been in this home for 40 years, and in spite of the wallpaper being the most hideous thing, they're not going to walk in and bash it. Like
Mhm.
there's a level of like empathy and compassion. Um, do you want to hear about the Ace Your Day cards?
Yeah.
Dude, so I've been in sales for probably 2.5 decades, which is crazy. I don't feel that old. And doing this podcast, I don't know, 150, 200 somewhere guests.
Oh, wow, amazing.
So I've learned a thing or two from all these amazing guests like yourself. So what I did was I took with Susie Adamson, we took a 52 deck of cards, and then we figured out agents have ADD. We're busy being busy. We're inconsistent with our day, and we figured out at 15 minutes that's kind of the Goldilocks period of time to get stuff done.
Sure.
And so each card, 52 of them, is an individual task to improve the health of your business. You flip a card, you set a timer for 15 minutes, and you do that one thing. Consistency over time is results.
Yep.
That's it.
I love it.
So we'll actually throw it in the link in the description if somebody's interested in
Yeah.
learning.
I'm buying a pack.
It's golden, man. And there's event like the little micro events are in there. Super easy, low impact. Just put yourself out there. Hey, friends, I have a small favor to ask. For me to continue to bring you outstanding guests who share their best kept secrets for growing a successful real estate business, please take a moment and hit that like button so agents like you can find this content. And also hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Now, back to our show.
What I've been sort of grappling with is, I am a computer jockey. I like to be in front of my computer, and I realize that's not where the magic really is. And although I'm proud of what we've accomplished, I think picking up the phone is important. And when I realized I was sort of breaking it down as an actual practical reason,
Yeah.
is you call somebody and you get 5 minutes of their time, and you do exchange, I don't know, 1,000 words, text messages, 10 words, and emails, 50 words.
Mhm.
And what I recently had was a client who isn't quite ready to buy, but now I realize he's working with someone doing as a general contractor. So now it went from a conversation that he's not quite ready to buy, but building out a relationship with someone who's actually a very, very talented general contractor, which empowers me, one, on my projects, and two, as a referral. Had I not picked up the phone, or if I made the assumption he won't be ready to buy for 2, 3 years, there's no point in sort of staying in touch. The reality is, I like talking to him. I love
Yeah.
his moxie and that he's a hustler. And because I picked up the phone, he even said to me, I'm the only person who followed up with him. Like, I guess he met other agents or what. And I was like, and that's the other thing people don't appreciate. Everyone thinks everyone else is doing something. Guess what? I get a postcard once in a blue moon. I have a property out in the desert, and
Yeah.
this one guy is always sending me a postcard with an update. And quite frankly, if I have to sell that property, I'll probably do it myself. But if I was just an average Joe, I would reach out to him. I'd say, I appreciate your consistency in your marketing. I would go to open houses, and then I would get a referral. That's how I go about it. Good
Yep.
marketing, good outreach, good dedication. How do they work in person, one on one, and then a referral from someone I trust? So you need to do it. People don't do it. Everyone thinks someone else is doing it. They're not. I haven't had someone knock on my door to talk about my property once. I get really generic, terrible phone calls, which are really odd. The cadence. They're like, "Do you live here?" I'm like, "Yes." "Are you trying to sell other properties?" I'm like, "Let's stay focused." But anyway,
You're like, wait.
really weird. I get them a lot from, I won't say who. Anyway, so I just think, kind of going in circles, just people aren't doing as much as everyone else thinks they're doing. So to start.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to your earlier point is, and this is stacks onto what I was saying is agents are busy being busy. The
Yeah.
problem is they send one card, then they go plan an event, then they put that down for a minute and they do a neighborhood report. They put that down, they make a phone call, and then they basically have nothing at the end of it. And they didn't follow up with any of their clients, and they didn't do anything. And it's crazy. And it's like, but again, to what you were saying in the very early part of this conversation, if instead of doing 20 things, my buddy said at one point when I got into real estate, listen, is it smarter to dig 100 1-foot wells or one 100-foot well?
I'm right.
And that's what agents are doing. They're doing the
Yeah.
former, not the latter. It's like, and it drives me fucking bonkers. Like, just
I
do,
think
do
Go
that
ahead.
thing that works.
What I've realized is also, when I started this, I decided to do the things I hadn't done. When I ran the marketing and design firm, I should have been doing more self-promotion, brand building,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And I don't mind doing it. I also have I feel very much empowered. I want to share everything that I'm doing, but also I'm a believer in LA. So there's other side to it that I want to get more involved. Not political in the sense that I want to run for anything, but if I could have more of an impact on the city, I would like to, because I'm a believer.
Yeah.
But here's a little anecdote, is that I think that the first time you do something, it's arduous. So we got together our holiday cards, It took forever. We had to dig into old addresses. People don't share them with you, but we finally got together about 120, 150 cards.
Yeah.
So we got them all organized and finally, and I'm really good about just once I decide it's going to get done. Anya, my business partner, she's all on board, but if it was, she would overanalyze. But she's always supporting whatever I do, but I need to take the lead on certain things.
Yeah.
Luckily, when she does focus on, she actually focuses on the hard stuff, which is, I think, rare. She focuses on the deals and the challenging things most people like to overlook.
Sure.
Anyway, all the cards arrive. They're they're not closed. I have to stamp them. I have to do that. It takes time. But then when I realized I started writing notes on every single one of these cards because these are people, some are not, they're just friends. They live in other cities. And I started to just have this sense of gratitude because, like, this person is always taking time to teach me about real estate, or this person is the first one to encourage me to buy, or this person, whatever it may be. But suddenly it took on a different emotional importance to me. Instead of just
Yeah.
sending them to stay top of mind, I sent them. And in the process, I realized how many people have helped me along this journey. So it went from something that was a marketing endeavor to actually a very rewarding, gratifying experience. And now that that's done, well, they're going to get another card next year. And I'm going to keep adding to this. And I'm going to take the time to write something on each card,
Yeah.
which I had not intended to do. But once I started, I couldn't stop. So it's interesting. You start to realize, like, but now obviously the next time I do it will be much quicker because I already
Yeah.
have the list and the database. I know how to do it. But once you get through that initial sort of, you know, time will be halved. And so you
Yeah.
just have to do it. The first time's always more of a pain.
For sure. I mean, if I had you write your name down on a piece of paper, it would take you a quick second.
Sure.
But if I said only write down every other letter, it would take you probably 3 times longer, which
Damn
makes
right.
no mathematical sense because it's half the amount of words. But
Sure.
if you did that practice over time, it would be faster because it's shorter.
Yeah.
That math. And so to what you were saying is, yeah, of course it's going to be hard. May I challenge you?
Sure.
Instead of you guys doing that once a year, how often do you meet with your business partner?
Oh, we're oh my God, we probably clocked to 500 hours in the car last year. So we're together a lot.
Do you do like a formal sit down?
We do. We do. We could
How
be
many
better
times?
about it, but we are pretty good about it.
So what I would recommend is because you said doing these cards made you feel incredibly grateful.
Yeah.
And instead of feeling that one spike in a year,
Sure.
take it and chunk, let's say you send out 300 cards, chunk them down to 2 cards when you and your business partner, but do it as your gratitude practice.
Yeah.
And then just write 2 cards. And that's also one of the cards of the pack that I was just sharing. And what that does is now it puts you in a different, it chemically changes
Mhm.
your brain for starters. It puts you guys in a very receptive state. And now when you go work on that challenging thing, you come at it from a, if you're in a grateful state going into
Mhm.
a hard negotiation, you're going to be more resourceful than if you come at it frustrated and angry. That's like chemically proven.
Yeah, that was part of it. But now that we have the cards and the stamps, everything's going to go quicker.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. It's a good reminder that you should be doing this. And the thing is this, I always say there is no one way to be successful. There's some agents that have no social media that are killing it. There's some agents that
Sure.
really aren't very articulate. They're doing amazing. It depends on what your superpower is.
Hmm.
However, if this is something you like doing, then amplify it. If you don't, it's okay.
Yeah.
Ultimately, there's no one way to be successful. I think that there is some level of similarities between those that are doing high-end luxury, but even then, I'm sure their trajectory is all different.
No.
They know their product. That's one thing I think people just don't appreciate. If you're trying to sell a home that's, 5, $10 million, you better know real estate. You better know more about that home than that seller. And typically, if a seller is involved at that level, they know every type of fixture and finish. They know the type of material for their countertops. They know every single appliance. And
Yeah.
if you act like you're a fool, then I wouldn't want to work with you if you don't have a great understanding of the magnitude of like a luxury property. And then same with multifamily. If you can't talk about pro forma, net operating income, expenses,
Mhm.
ratios, debt service cover ratio, if you don't know these things, then I would be reluctant to work with you. So you do need to know the business, but I feel like you can get those skills quicker
Sure.
than you could in other industries.
100%. I mean, I think if you separate the art of selling from the skill, it takes to answer these questions, it, it's all the same. Like it's like luxury is
Mhm.
skill, right? You
Yeah,
have a whole bucket of skill. Selling a multi-unit, that's a whole suite of skills. Selling a tenancy in common property, which is
sure.
a hyper specific thing to pretty much this coast, that takes a skill because you have to be able to understand it and then articulate it. So there's just like the any salesperson needs to have the understanding of the product that they're trying to position. And then for sales, there's only three ways to make money. Like it's either sell more product, increase your price, or reduce your costs.
Yeah,
And then if you
interesting.
really want to like rocket fuel that, do all three. And that'll like your business will explode.
In our office, so we David Kramer, he does a lot of high-end deals, and every time he speaks at the sales meeting, his understanding is different of the contracts and what's going on, and you sense it, and he gives you a sense of confidence. So if he was to meet with me and I was trying to sell my $20 million listing, I would leave feeling very confident working with him.
Yeah.
And it's not his demeanor, and he's not really selling. He just knows a lot about the nuances of getting these things done. And so people sometimes don't appreciate, like, once it's not just like, meeting and staying on top of things and calling and sending cards and sending nice little holiday gifts. If you really know what
Correct.
you're talking about, then you're giving someone the confidence. And it doesn't really matter actually if it's a $1 million home, a $10 million home. I would only want to work with someone I feel confident knows what they're doing.
I concur. I feel what you did is the thing that's going to happen more in the future within this industry is since the decoupling of commissions, where buyers now have to mentally cover this cost
Mhm.
of hiring representation. There, because there's a greater sense of pain, separation of money,
Mhm.
that they now do a better job of due diligence. So meaning the agent has to be able to perform. They have to know what they're talking about. They have to know how to guide their
Right.
client. So what I feel is going to happen more is this situation you have, the partnership, the apprenticeship, the attaching of a new agent to that seasoned person to help educate them in real time in the field, like while under fire, to be able to get these deals, but
But
actually get
I
their
actually
skills up to level to be able to do these things. I think the solo agent relying on AI is screwed every which way to Sunday.
we had a deal recently where we got them into the home 10% below the listing price,
Damn.
and they
Good
were
job.
thrilled. And we recently was invited to dinner at their place, and they couldn't be happier. And I can tell you with certainty, if it wasn't primarily for Anya, but I'm obviously, always supporting, it wouldn't have happened. And it wasn't that we had to strong arm anybody. We just basically knew the seller wanted to sell. They were a developer. They wanted to move on. Listen, take your hits on this one. They're not all going to be home runs. We are going to the three things: price, certainty, and speed. We were
Mhm.
going to buy it at the price that we offered, and we were going to get it done quickly, and we did. And so other agents would have probably forgot about it, said it was out of the reach. There's too big a delta. We didn't. We just stayed on top of it. We communicated. We basically said we're an option for you if you want to sell this home. We believe in it. We even said we know it's worth more, but right
Yeah.
now the market is such that there is a massive amount of quality inventory that came on the market simultaneously, and so you have two choices. You could hang on for another 8 months, or you could part ways. You know, take the licks and then start your next project from a new perspective.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that was the result of us. Now, again, I guess when the market's killing it, maybe other agents can kind of get by with maybe good times, just paper over bad agents. But now I don't think that's going to be the case. So, people don't, I always say, listen, we're one of the few things that we work really hard on your behalf and we don't get paid until we're done. We're a performance based business. So
Yeah.
I can go on. I believe in it, and I don't want to have to persuade anybody, but I don't think people appreciate that the difference can be quite large by working with someone who really is an advocate for your goals.
Man, was looking at a property out of state, and I called, got a recommendation, and talked to the agent briefly. And I'm not exaggerating. 6 days later, I had to follow up with them on
I
a
know.
property I was interested in, and was like blown away. Like, just missed the most basic of basics of basic.
I don't think many people realize that when you get a discount agent, and I'll just use that term generically, you're getting someone who's going to discount how they do their job too.
Yeah.
The reality is, it's the only thing you should probably not in any way look for a value. And I try to compare it to everything else. Most people aren't making decisions just on price on how they decide the quality of their food, whatever it may be.
I mean,
Either way,
what if it's one of your largest
I
assets?
know.
Would you go to the discount heart surgeon?
I'm not
Like,
sure what
it's just flipping. It's so like ludicrous to me that for the vast majority of people, it's the largest investment of their life.
sure.
And you're trying to cut. I understand the need to save, but to your point, it's like the margins are tight. And if somebody doesn't understand how to read the CMA or know that, hey, properties on this side of the street actually sell for 5% less than that side of the street. And then they sure they saved you, let's say X amount of dollars, but then you overpaid by X amount of dollars and you don't even know. That's terrible. It's terrible.
I have a saying, if you cut too many corners, you go in a circle, so be careful. But
Good
something
one.
I am trying to articulate to people is that everybody thinks everything's available on all these different websites. I'm not going to mention those other ones, so let's just stick to the good ones. Is that it's not that simple. The reality is people have a limited amount of time to look at properties, and if you don't market the property correctly, people might just skip it. Now, if you're
Yep.
an investor, we're like, "Oh, great. Terrible pictures, good location." However, if you're trying to sell your home for maximum value, your agent is essentially the amplifier. Are they reaching out? Are they connecting? Are they facilitating? Because the other thing is, if I've worked with some agents that I really don't want to work with again, and let me tell you, I might avoid that property if I feel like we're not going to get a fair shake at it. So they don't know what's going on below the surface. And the
Yeah.
reality is, for instance, I have that situation a lot too. I'll see something online for a long time, and it's maybe a property that's a multifamily, has a lot of demerits, or it's going to be a pain. They still should respond within 24 hours with some information, and they don't even respond at all. So they don't realize, like, maybe they don't realize on behalf of you, they're not working to sell your property at all. They're actually doing a disservice because we'll just move on to the next one. Okay, we can't get a hold of you, then we're going to assume that there's a lack of interest and intention in selling. All of this just is without anybody knowing. So you have to have a leap of faith that behind the scenes, the agent is really working on your behalf in a meaningful way.
That's the weird part. It's that's the weird part to me. Like I thankfully I work in a city where
Yeah,
it separates very quickly, and
sure.
so the I tend to work with really amazing people. And I'm very lucky and blessed for that. But I have come across from time to time those uh, people who are just difficult, or it's like pulling teeth. I'm like, it's pulling teeth trying to get in to see the property. It's like you're pulling teeth to get disclosures. You're trying to figure out your clients have a question, you can't get the answer, and it's just everything is an uphill battle. And you're like, yeah, that's why you've been on the market. Everything around you is sold in a week and a half, and you're 60 days in. No kidding.
If a seller's debating, they should focus on their net proceeds, not the commission. And if you don't think, and if you really look at the difference of commissions, the delta is often pretty small, like 0.25% or what it is. When you actually get to that number, it could be 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand. I'm not saying it's not insignificant, but there is the total amount versus what you're going to make is insignificant, relatively speaking. And you have to ask yourself, is there a value add by working with someone who really, really treats this as a profession, as a there are a lot of hobbyists out there too. It's kind of shocking how many people have a license that do one deal a year. and they somehow get one and they don't do a good job because quite frankly, this is a pretty technical thing. We have a lot of changes happening every single day with contracts,
Dude,
how
all
things
the
are marketed. It's not, and if you're not part of a institution that actually provides insight and resources and support, I, quite frankly, I don't know how you're really going to hang in there.
Yeah.
People need to look at their net proceeds and not get so fixated on the commission. I don't know why people do. I think ultimately they see it as out of their pocket, which I understand, and it's a big deal. But in the end, like your take home is what matters.
Well,
And
I mean, I think it's articulating value. Again,
sure,
it's for somebody who's never flown in a plane and then trying to explain the difference between sitting in the back and sitting in the front. It's sometimes it's like really hard to wrap your
yeah,
head around, or and not for nothing. I don't care what you're selling, whether it's a potato or a car.
sure.
The person who's purchasing it, it's always too expensive.
Always.
Always, right? We always want a better deal, right? And then it becomes about other factors, right? It's like the Timex for $20 tells perfect time just like the
Sure.
Rolex, but the Rolex is, let's say, $15,000. And so if both tell the time, they basically serve the same function. Why on earth would somebody ever do that thing? Like, why would they purchase that? And so then it then becomes about articulating value, and it then becomes about the craftsmanship and the brand and the actual investment component. And this watch takes a year from beginning to end to actually build. And so now it's this whole different experience.
I- If you want to be a good agent, just listen more than you talk. And I'm not good at that. But the other day we have a
Me neither
seller.
sometimes.
I have a seller, and he's a very meticulous person. His condo looks like no one's lived there. So what we did is we made sure we got booties in there before any open house would ever happen, and we let him know that we made sure we brought those. Now, obviously, I just take off my shoes, and I think he really appreciated the fact that he didn't want to say it directly, but more or less he said, I'm a meticulous person. I do not like things dirty. I don't want this. He said it to me, but when I first walked in, I didn't have my shoes off, but he took his off, and then I went back and I took mine off. Some people don't want to like impose their will, like take them off. But I picked up on it quickly and I addressed it and I dealt with it. And I think in a
Yeah.
meaningful way because he's right. It's his place and I understand it. And those subtleties go a long way. And I kind of compare it to, give me all the mashed potatoes in the world, but if you don't give me gravy, I don't gravy. The gravy is sort of people remember it's the little things, it's the subtle things that matter. And that really is sort of how life is in general. I think about it a lot about hospitality and something I care about
Yeah.
is that when you walk into a restaurant, the way the maitre d' treats you, whether the bathroom's clean, all that is the experience I'm going to be engaging in. And they matter to me and they matter to other people. Quite frankly, going back to that sort of that study, I want to make sure I have coffee or tea at my opens. It's a little pain to do it.
Yeah.
But hey, if they're holding something warm and they have a warm memory of this experience, well, then, listen, you're not going to buy it because of a cup of coffee. But if psychologically you have a good memory because of those two things simultaneously, or you think to yourself, this is a nice place to have a cup of coffee on this deck in the morning,
Yeah.
all those things matter.
They do.
And I also think it's a fun way to look at it. You get a chance to explore these different things, test different things. So there's not this, don't look at it as like a chore. Look at it as a fun expression. Is there a
It's a
new
game.
coffee shop you want to explore or you want to bring attention to? Then go there, make sure you get it from them.
Yeah. Um, have you read Unreasonable Hospitality?
Yes. Love it.
Have you watched The Bear?
Well, of course.
So Will was the author, was the advisor for the show, but there's a great
Yeah.
scene when the main character Carmi is talking to his team about getting a star. They're going after a star, and then he says, "Everything is everything,"
Mm-hmm.
and that's like if you go back and read the book, which I highly highly recommend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the specific number, but if I remember correctly, it was like 147. So from the time a person walks into the restaurant
Wow.
and sits down, there's 147 interactions they will have, from the the experience of touching the door handle to
Mm-hmm.
greeting the person to touching the napkin to the feel of the cushion on the seat. There's a ton of experiences that all back into it. And I feel in our business, You don't have to pay attention to all of them, but you should pay attention to the ones that are important to the person that you're talking to, which is ultimately the client, because to them, everything is everything.
I couldn't agree more. I think there's an infinite number of books, but just going above beyond, paying attention, communicating to your clients what's going on. My previous career, I remember distinctly there was a moment where a client would ask for an update and I would give it to them after it was done. And I realized they were not always thrilled by that because it'd be like a day or two later. They really
Yeah.
wanted to know when it was getting done, not that it was done, because then they
Yeah.
could communicate, they could understand. And so over communicating is important and making sure you keep people informed. This is a big decision.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, within reason, I know there's some clients that I hear stories of horror stories. They want you to pick up the phone at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. That being said, there is a fine line about defending that. But ultimately, Unreasonable Hospitality is a great book. Everything, they mentioned Coach K, how to work with the team and realize everybody's
For sure.
unique and kind of celebrating each individual. I think, and that's what I think everyone who's a realtor is really first an entrepreneur. And I think that applies to everyone. When
Uh,
I had that kind of realization, helped me sort of break free from being just one thing. But I think if everybody treats it that way, it will actually free them to explore different things. Like, why do social media? Well, you love to go to restaurants and communicate the value of living in this neighborhood. Why film this? Well, there's a value in it to people.
yeah.
And don't look at it as a limitation. Look at it as a way to amplify your services and your expertise. For me, I use social media a lot to actually learn a subject. So I'll post something on LinkedIn because I'm curious about what's going on in Detroit. I, I don't know if anybody necessarily cares about my perspective on Detroit. I've never been, but it gave me a chance to dig into something.
Mhm.
And I use each platform differently, like Instagram's video and so don't look at social media as inconvenience. Look at it as a tool to communicate an idea that you want to know more about. And hopefully what I've discovered is I'm not going to try to do the generic stuff. Out of the gate was top 5 things you should do when finding a realtor. Now it's more about what I care about, what I think is
Yeah.
important, and I'm going to focus on those things. And hopefully I'll find an audience based on the fact that I'm communicating, from a perspective that I have.
Uh, Same page. Here's a fun little tidbit for you because you're into marketing. Instagram, the bulk of the agents that I've talked to who are successful on it, they're not actually marketing to the buyer or seller.
Hmm.
They're
Yeah.
actually marketing to the agent for referrals.
Yeah. Interesting.
And so if you then think about, well, what type of things do you want to communicate? It's not always about like the 3 things a buyer should do, though woven in once in a while lets them know that's what you do. But they want to get to know you because then ultimately, if I have a client going down to LA, I want to make sure, first and foremost, will their personalities mesh? Like the competency and the skills and the experience, that's all secondary to will they actually work together? Dude, this was awesome. I really appreciate you spending the time, and I really enjoyed your perspective. In talking to you, I would never have guessed you're 2 years in. So kudos.
I appreciate it. Thank you for following up with me, which I guess we're all good at. But it means a lot. I reached out randomly. You didn't know anything about me. You said, "What do you want to talk about?" I broke it down. And so I'm glad to do it. And I think it's wonderful that you're giving people an opportunity. And I reiterate, like, if people love a podcast, they want to be a part of something, just reach out. And if you said to me, "Get back to me in 6 months when X, Y, and Z happens," I would have done it. Instead, you said, "Sure, sounds good. Let's chat." So I really appreciate it. I love what you're doing. So thanks again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And that's a wrap.